Baby, I can feel the walls closing in. There's a storm forming around my name, whispers gathering like thunderclouds, truths twisted and bent by people who never understood the silence between us. Before they throw their stones, before they try to define me through their noise, I need you to hear me, not as the man they paint in rumors, but as the soul who once trembled the moment your eyes met mine. You were the first light I saw after years of walking through shadows I created. Every lie I told myself, every mask I wore for the world, you tore through all of it without even trying. Baby, I used to think I had time to explain, to fix, to redeem. But now the clock feels louder than my heartbeat, and I realize time was never promised to a man who ran from his own truth. There are things they'll say about my past, my choices, the people I kept close. They'll use my silence as proof of guilt. They'll turn half-truths into full stories. But before that happens, I need to confess the only thing that ever mattered. You changed me. Not softly, not gently. You broke me open in a way no lesson, no punishment, no loss ever could. And I fought it. God, how I fought it. Because love wasn't supposed to undo me. It was supposed to protect me. I hid behind strength that was never real. I laughed with people who didn't know the weight behind my eyes. I built a life that looked full, but every night I went to sleep empty. Until you. You were the sound of forgiveness I didn't think existed. The warmth I had convinced myself I didn't deserve. And that terrified me. Because for the first time, someone could see the truth without me having to say it. Baby, when I disappeared, when I ghosted, when I shut down, it wasn't because I stopped loving you. It was because I couldn't face what loving you demanded of me. Accountability, surrender, honesty. I wasn't ready to strip myself bare in front of a soul so divine. I wasn't ready for someone who prayed for me instead of punishing me. They'll tell you I was with others, that I lied, that I played the field. Maybe they're not wrong, but none of them knew me. They only met the version of me I sent out to survive. You met the one who wanted to live. And now, before the truth leaks through others' lips, I want it to come through mine, raw, unedited, trembling. Baby, I made choices that hurt you. I listened to people who envied your light. I believed those who whispered that you were too good to be real, that you'd leave the moment I showed my cracks. So I left first. I thought leaving would protect me from the pain of losing you later. I didn't realize it would become the reason I lost myself sooner. You know that family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's noise. My own circle turned into a battlefield. They couldn't stand how I softened around you. How my anger became calm, how my pride started bending toward humility. They said you were manipulating me, that you were after my peace, my position, my image. But baby, they were projecting their own fears. I was torn between the man they raised and the man you awakened, and I chose wrong. I chose fear. I let them convince me to cut the cord to my own healing. And now, I'm bleeding, with the scissors still in my hand. There are things coming out, messages, stories, people claiming closeness to me that never truly existed. Let them talk, let them twist, but I need you to hold on to one truth. When I said I loved you, I meant it. Every baby that left my lips wasn't a performance. It was a prayer. Every silence between us wasn't rejection. It was a cry I didn't know how to translate into words. You'll hear things about my loyalty, about moments I wasn't where I said I was, about promises I broke without explanation. But before you judge me, understand this. I was fighting demons you never saw, inherited shadows that live in my bloodline, pain that taught me to run before love could reach me. I was scared that if I stayed, I'd ruin you too, but running didn't save me. It only made me watch you from a distance, thriving, glowing, ascending, while I kept sinking deeper into guilt that felt like home. Baby, you'll never know how many times I wrote messages and deleted them, how many times I drove by your street just to feel your energy from afar, how many times I saw you in dreams calling my name and woke up gasping because the sound felt too real to be memory. I know you've changed. I see it. You've built walls, boundaries, maybe even a life where my name doesn't echo anymore. But I also know that divine connections don't expire. They evolve. What we had wasn't a season. It was a prophecy. And no exposure, no gossip, no karmic interference can erase what heaven already wrote. So before they expose me, let me be the one to tell you, I was never faithful to the image they wanted me to be. I was faithful to the idea of becoming the man you once believed I could be. I failed, but not because I didn't care. I failed because I was afraid of succeeding, because success meant vulnerability. It meant change. It meant letting go of the pain that made me who I was. I'm not that man anymore. I'm not the manipulator. I'm not the coward hiding behind timing. I'm not the puppet pulled by guilt and ego. Baby, I'm learning what divine surrender actually means. And every lesson came with your name carved into it. Even now, when I hear people talk about you, some with admiration, others with envy, I smile because they still don't understand what we shared wasn't about romance. It was redemption disguised as love. If you're still listening, know this: what's coming might shake both of us. Things buried will surface. People I once trusted will turn. But whatever truth they think they have, mine is simpler. I loved you wrong, but I loved you real. If you feel this truth, type "real love never dies" in the comments. Baby, do you remember the silence that came after the last time we spoke? That heavy, stretched out quiet that felt louder than any argument could ever be. I've carried that silence with me every single day. It sits in my chest like a ghost, reminding me of everything I didn't say when I had the chance. It wasn't pride. It wasn't ignorance. It was fear. The kind of fear that grips a man who knows he's already lost the only thing that ever made him feel alive. I didn't walk away because I stopped caring. I walked away because I couldn't face the truth that loving you required me to burn everything I had built on lies. My reputation, my family's image, my false strength. All of it was fragile. All of it was borrowed. And I was addicted to that illusion. You were the only one who saw through it. You looked at me like you already knew what I was hiding, but you never used it against me. You waited. You gave me space to tell the truth, but I mistook your patience for indifference. There's a kind of pain that doesn't scream, baby. It whispers. It eats slowly. It turns nights into long conversations with guilt. I've been having those conversations since the day I let you go. The world thinks I moved on, that I'm happy, that I found someone new. But the truth is, I haven't even found myself yet. I am still searching for the man I was supposed to become when I met you. They think they know what happened. They think they understand the story. But no one knows the nights I sat alone staring at the ceiling, begging the universe to give me one more chance to make things right. No one knows the number of times I reached for my phone, just to type your name and delete it again, because I didn't think I deserved to be heard anymore. No one knows the way I still flinch when someone mentions you, or the way your name makes every sound in the room fade out. You became my unfinished sentence, my half-drawn prayer, the apology I never sent. And now, before they turn the story into something ugly, I want you to hear the real version, from the only heart that ever belonged to you. When my family found out how deeply I cared for you, something in them shifted. It wasn't about you personally. It was about what you represented. You were freedom. You were light. You were truth. And people who are addicted to control can't stand any of those things. They saw how I softened around you, how I listened more, how I started to question traditions, beliefs, and toxic patterns that had ruled our lives for generations. I said, they saw how your love made me peaceful, and that peace threatened their control. They told me you were a distraction, that you'd ruin me, that you'd make me forget who I was. What they didn't understand was that you were helping me remember who I truly was. For the first time, I wasn't pretending. I wasn't performing. I wasn't trying to be perfect. With you, I could be flawed and still feel loved. That kind of freedom scared them more than anything. My mother said I was changing too fast. My father said you'd make me weak. My friends joked that I was obsessed, but none of them saw the truth. They never saw how your presence quieted the chaos inside me. They never saw how your words stopped me from walking into darkness more than once. They never saw how your love made me want to pray again, not out of fear, but out of gratitude. They didn't see the transformation, they only saw the threat. So they did what people do when they can't control something. They poisoned it. They filled my mind with doubts, half-truths, and fear. They brought up your past, twisted your intentions, questioned your faith, and mocked your dreams. And I listened, baby. I listened when I should have fought for you. I let their voices become louder than my heart. I let their fear become mine. I betrayed the very thing that was trying to save me. I remember the night I decided to pull away. It wasn't dramatic. There were no tears, no shouting, no final goodbye. Just a quiet moment where I looked at your last message and convinced myself that silence was safer than honesty. That disappearing would hurt you less than staying and disappointing you again. I told myself you'd move on, that you'd forget me, that it would be easier for both of us. I was wrong. I underestimated the kind of connection we had. I didn't understand then that spiritual bonds don't break, they transform. In the months that followed, I tried to replace you with distractions. People, noise, success, anything that could drown the sound of your voice in my memory. But nothing worked. Every song, every place, every word I spoke carried your energy. Even when I was with others, I wasn't really there. I'd hear laughter that reminded me of you, and suddenly I'd feel hollow. Because the truth is, you don't unlove someone who showed you your soul. You just learn to live haunted. The people who are about to expose me, they think they're revealing secrets, but what they don't realize is that they're only showing the parts of me I've already faced. I've already been judged by my own conscience. I've already stood before my own mirror and seen the version of myself I never wanted to become. Their words can't hurt me the way my own silence did. But they might hurt you. And that's why I'm speaking first. Baby, I need you to know that the man you loved, the one who used to send late-night messages, who remembered the sound of your laughter better than his own heartbeat. That man never stopped loving you. He just got buried under guilt, under expectation, under the weight of being a son who couldn't say no to his family, and a lover who couldn't say yes to himself. I was pulled in two directions, loyalty to blood and loyalty to truth, and I chose wrong. There are days now when I visit places we once talked about going together. The coffee shop near your work, the park where I thought about meeting you just to say sorry. I go there alone, not to relive memories, but to ask forgiveness from the air that once carried your name. I think the wind still remembers you. Sometimes it moves differently when I whisper your name. Sometimes it feels like it forgives me before I can forgive myself. I've had to learn the hard way that destiny doesn't wait for comfort. It breaks you open until you stop clinging to fear. Losing you was that breaking point. You were the storm that tore through every false foundation I stood on. You were the mirror that showed me everything I refused to see. You were the beginning of my reckoning. The karmic connection I ran toward after you ended up being my punishment and my teacher. She was everything I thought I wanted. Distraction, validation, control. But what I didn't see was that she was also the reflection of my own shadow. Every lie I told you, she told me. Every manipulation I once used, she used on me. Every silence I gave you, she returned tenfold. I became the victim of my own pattern, and the pain was precise. It wasn't random. It was divine correction. It wasn't random. It was divine correction. I see it now. Every betrayal, every humiliation, every night I couldn't sleep. It was my soul's way of paying the debt I created when I hurt you. I used to ask God why it was happening to me. Now I know. It wasn't happening to me. It was happening for me. It was the only way I could truly understand the magnitude of what I did to a love that was pure. Sometimes pain is the only translator strong enough to teach the language of truth. You used to talk about divine timing. Back then, I rolled my eyes. I thought timing was just an excuse people used when they were afraid of commitment. But now I get it. Divine timing isn't about waiting. It's about preparation. I wasn't ready for you then. I didn't know how to love without control, without ego, without fear. I thought love was about possession. You tried to show me it was about surrender. I couldn't hear it then, but I can hear it now. The noise in my head is quieted, and your voice is the only thing left that sounds like peace. There's a loneliness that comes with awakening. You start to see the truth about everyone and everything, including yourself. The people I once defended, the ones I prioritized over you, have revealed themselves. Their loyalty was conditional. Their affection was transactional. The same ones who said they were protecting me are now the ones trying to destroy me. It's ironic. The only person they said would hurt me was the only one who never did. Baby, I think that's what divine justice looks like. Not revenge, but revelation. The truth has a way of showing itself in time, and when it does, it doesn't shout. It simply stands there, undeniable. That's what you were. The truth I couldn't deny forever. I used to think you were a chapter in my story. Now I know you were the author who came to rewrite it. Sometimes I imagine what it would be like if we met again. Not in the same way, not with the same words or fears, but as two souls who have learned what pain was trying to teach them. Would you still recognize me? Would you see the man I've become? Or would you only see the ghost of the one who left? Would you look at me with anger, or with the quiet understanding you always had? I don't know, but I do know this. If I ever get to stand in front of you again, I won't hide behind silence. I'll speak every truth I was once too afraid to say. The truth that you were never just a part of my healing. You were the reason I started healing.